A circus race and a long tail.
Гонка и длинная история.
A circus race and a long tail. They were indeed a strange-looking party.
Это была действительно странная группа.
They were indeed a strange-looking party. The birds with wet feathers.
Птицы с мокрыми перьями.
The birds with wet feathers. The animals with their fur clinging close to them.
Животные с мехом, цепляющимися за них.
The animals with their fur clinging close to them. And all dripping wet, angry, and uncomfortable.
И все мокрые, злые, недовольные.
And all dripping wet, angry, and uncomfortable. The first question of course was.
Первый вопрос, конечно, был.
The first question of course was. How can we get dry again?
Как нам просохнуть?
How can we get dry again? They had a consultation about this.
Они посовещались по этому поводу.
They had a consultation about this. And after a few minutes.
И через несколько минут.
And after a few minutes. It seemed quite natural to Alice to find herself talking familiarly with them.
Для Алисы стало вполне нормальным разговаривать с ними.
It seemed quite natural to Alice to find herself talking familiarly with them. Indeed, she had quite a long argument with the lorry.
В самом деле, она довольно долго спорила с Лори.
Indeed, she had quite a long argument with the lorry. Who at last turned sulky, and only repeated.
Которая нахмурилась и произнесла.
Who at last turned sulky, and only repeated. I am older than you, and I know better.
Я старше тебя, и я знаю лучше.
I am older than you, and I know better. And at this Alice wanted to know how old it was.
И Алисе захотелось узнать, сколько ей лет.
And at this Alice wanted to know how old it was. But the lorry refused to tell its age.
Но Лори отказалась сообщать свой возраст.
But the lorry refused to tell its age. At last the mouse, who seemed to be a person of authority among them, called out.
Наконец мышь, которая, казалось, была среди них авторитетом, крикнула.
At last the mouse, who seemed to be a person of authority among them, called out. Sit down, all of you, and listen to me.
Сядьте все и слушайте меня.
Sit down, all of you, and listen to me. I'll soon make you dry again.
Я вскоре высушу вас.
I'll soon make you dry again. They all sat down at once, in a large ring, with the mouse in the middle.
Они все сразу сели в большое кольцо с мышей посередине.
They all sat down at once, in a large ring, with the mouse in the middle. Alice kept her eyes anxiously fixed on it.
Алиса с тревогой не сводила с нее глаз.
Alice kept her eyes anxiously fixed on it. Because she wanted to get dry as soon as possible and not to catch a cold.
Потому что хотела как можно скорее просохнуть и не простудиться.
Because she wanted to get dry as soon as possible and not to catch a cold. Are you all ready? Said the mouse with an important air.
Все готовы, сказала мышь с важным видом.
Are you all ready? Said the mouse with an important air. This is the driest thing I know. Silence, please.
Это самая сухая вещь, которую я знаю. Тише, пожалуйста.
This is the driest thing I know. Silence, please. William the Conqueror soon subdued the English, who wanted leaders.
Вильям Завоеватель вскоре покорил англичан, которые хотели лидеров.
William the Conqueror soon subdued the English, who wanted leaders. Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria.
Эдвин и Маркар, графы Мерсии и Нортумбрии.
Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria. Ugh, said the lorry, with a shiver.
Тьфу, сказала Лори с дрожью.
Ugh, said the lorry, with a shiver. I beg your pardon, said the mouse.
Прошу прощения, сказала мышка.
I beg your pardon, said the mouse. Frowning, but very politely.
Нахмурившись, но очень вежливо.
Frowning, but very politely. Did you speak?
Ты сказала?
Did you speak? Not I, said the lorry hastily.
Не я, поспешно сказала Лори.
Not I, said the lorry hastily. I thought you did, said the mouse.
Я так и думала, сказала мышь.
I thought you did, said the mouse. I go on.
Я продолжаю.
I go on. Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria.
Эдвин и Маркар, графы Мерсии и Нортумбрии.
Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria. Declared for him.
Объявили за него.
Declared for him. And even Stigand, the patriotic Archbishop of Canterbury.
И даже Стигант, патриотический архиепископ Кентерберийский.
And even Stigand, the patriotic Archbishop of Canterbury. Found it advisable.
Нашел это целесообразным.
Found it advisable. Found what? Said the duck.
Нашел что? Сказала утка.
Found what? Said the duck. Found it, the mouse answered quite sharply.
Нашел это, довольно резко ответила мышь.
Found it, the mouse answered quite sharply. Of course you know what it means.
Конечно, вы знаете, что означает это.
Of course you know what it means. I know what it means well enough.
Я знаю, что это означает довольно хорошо.
I know what it means well enough. When I find a thing, said the duck.
Когда я нахожу вещь, сказала утка.
When I find a thing, said the duck. It's generally a frog or a worm.
Обычно это лягушка или червь.
It's generally a frog or a worm. The question is, what did the Archbishop find?
Вопрос в том, что нашел архиепископ.
The question is, what did the Archbishop find? The mouse did not notice this question, but hastily went on.
Мышь не обратила внимания на вопрос и поспешно продолжила.
The mouse did not notice this question, but hastily went on. Found it advisable to go with Edgar Atheling.
Было бы благоразумно пойти с Эдгаром Ателлингом.
Found it advisable to go with Edgar Atheling. To meet William and offer him the crown.
Чтобы встретиться с Уильямом и предложить ему корону.
To meet William and offer him the crown. How are you getting on now, my dear?
Как поживаешь, дорогая?
How are you getting on now, my dear? It continued, turning to Alice as it spoke.
Продолжила она, поворачиваясь к Алисе, пока говорила.
It continued, turning to Alice as it spoke. Still wet, said Alice sadly.
Все еще мокрая, грустно сказала Алиса.
Still wet, said Alice sadly. It doesn't seem to dry me at all.
Кажется, я совсем не сохну.
It doesn't seem to dry me at all. In that case, said the dodo solemnly, rising to its feet.
В таком случае, торжественно сказал Додо, поднимаясь на ноги.
In that case, said the dodo solemnly, rising to its feet. I am for the immediate adoption of more energetic measures.
Я за немедленное принятие более энергичных мер.
I am for the immediate adoption of more energetic measures. Speak English, said the eaglet.
Говори на английском, сказал орленок.
Speak English, said the eaglet. I don't know the meaning of half those long words.
Я не понимаю смысла половины этих длинных слов.
I don't know the meaning of half those long words. And, what's more, I don't believe you do.
И более того, я не верю в то, что вы делаете.
And, what's more, I don't believe you do. And the eaglet bent down its head to hide a smile.
И орленок наклонился, чтобы скрыть улыбку.
And the eaglet bent down its head to hide a smile. Some of the other birds laughed softly.
Несколько других птиц смеялись тихо.
Some of the other birds laughed softly. What I was going to say, said the dodo in an offended tone.
То, что я собирался сказать, сказал Додо оскорбленным тоном.
What I was going to say, said the dodo in an offended tone. Was that the best thing to get us dry as a caucus race?
Лучшее, что нас высушило, это совещание.
Was that the best thing to get us dry as a caucus race? Then he made a pause.
Затем он сделал паузу.
Then he made a pause. What is a caucus race? Said Alice.
Что такое гонка? Сказала Алиса.
What is a caucus race? Said Alice. She didn't really want to know.
Она на самом деле не хотела знать.
She didn't really want to know. But the pause meant the dodo was waiting for somebody to speak.
Но пауза означала, что Дадо ждал, когда кто-то скажет.
But the pause meant the dodo was waiting for somebody to speak. And no one else was going to say anything.
И никто больше не собирался ничего говорить.
And no one else was going to say anything. Well, said the dodo, the best way to explain it is to do it.
Но сказал Дадо, лучший способ объяснить это сделать.
Well, said the dodo, the best way to explain it is to do it. I will tell you how the dodo managed it.
Я расскажу вам, как это удалось Дадо.
I will tell you how the dodo managed it. Maybe you'll try it yourself, some winter day.
Может быть, вы попробуете это сами, однажды зимой.
Maybe you'll try it yourself, some winter day. First it marked out a race course, in a sort of circle.
Сначала он обозначил беговую дорожку кругом.
First it marked out a race course, in a sort of circle. The exact shape doesn't matter, it said.
Точная форма не имеет значения, сказал он.
The exact shape doesn't matter, it said. And then all the party placed themselves along the course, here and there.
А затем вся группа расположилась вдоль трассы, здесь и там.
And then all the party placed themselves along the course, here and there. There was no 1, 2, 3, and away.
Не было раз, два, три, погнали.
There was no 1, 2, 3, and away. But they began running when they liked, and stopped when they liked.
И они начали бежать по своему желанию, и останавливались, когда хотели.
But they began running when they liked, and stopped when they liked. So that it was not easy to know when the race was over.
Так что было nелегко узнать, когда гонка закончилась.
So that it was not easy to know when the race was over. But after running for about half an hour or so they were quite dry again.
Но после пробежки в течение примерно получаса они снова высохли.
But after running for about half an hour or so they were quite dry again. And the dodo suddenly called out, the race is over.
И Дадо внезапно крикнул, гонка окончена.
And the dodo suddenly called out, the race is over. And they all crowded round it, panting, and asking.
И все они собрались вокруг него, тяжело дыша и спрашивая.
And they all crowded round it, panting, and asking. But who is the winner?
А кто победитель?
But who is the winner? This question the dodo could not answer without a great deal of thought.
На этот вопрос Дадо не мог ответить без долгих раздумий.
This question the dodo could not answer without a great deal of thought. And it sat for a long time with one finger pressed upon its forehead.
И он долго сидел, прижав один палец к лбу.
And it sat for a long time with one finger pressed upon its forehead. The position in which you usually see Shakespeare in the pictures of him.
Положение, в котором вы обычно видите Шекспира на его фотографиях.
The position in which you usually see Shakespeare in the pictures of him. While the rest waited in silence.
В то время как остальные ждали молча.
While the rest waited in silence. At last the dodo said.
Наконец Дадо сказал.
At last the dodo said. Everybody is the winner, and all must have prizes.
Все победили, и все должны получить призы.
Everybody is the winner, and all must have prizes. But who will give us the prizes? Everyone asked.
Но кто даст нам призы? Спрашивали все.
But who will give us the prizes? Everyone asked. She, of course, said the dodo.
Она, конечно, сказал Дадо.
She, of course, said the dodo. Pointing to Alice with one finger.
Указывая на Алису пальцем.
Pointing to Alice with one finger. And the whole party at once crowded round her.
И вся группа сразу же собралась вокруг нее.
And the whole party at once crowded round her. Calling out all together, prizes, prizes.
Взывай все вместе, призы, призы.
Calling out all together, prizes, prizes. Alice had no idea what to do.
Алиса понятия не имела, что делать.
Alice had no idea what to do. And in despair she put her hand in her pocket.
И в отчаянии она сунула руку в карман.
And in despair she put her hand in her pocket, and pulled out a box of sweets.
Вытащила коробку конфет.
And pulled out a box of sweets. And handed them round as prizes.
И передала их в качестве призов.
And handed them round as prizes. There was exactly one for each of them.
Их было точно по одному на каждого.
There was exactly one for each of them. But she must have a prize herself, you know, said the mouse.
Но она тоже должна получить приз, сказала мышь.
But she must have a prize herself, you know, said the mouse. Of course, the dodo answered very gravely.
Конечно, очень серьезно ответил Додо.
Of course, the dodo answered very gravely. What else do you have in your pocket? He went on, turning to Alice.
Что еще есть у тебя в кармане? Продолжил он, поворачиваясь к Алисе.
What else do you have in your pocket? He went on, turning to Alice. Only a thimble, said Alice sadly.
Только наперсток, печально сказала Алиса.
Only a thimble, said Alice sadly. Hand it over here, said the dodo.
Передай сюда, сказал Додо.
Hand it over here, said the dodo. Then they all crowded round her once more.
Затем все они снова собрались вокруг нее.
Then they all crowded round her once more, while the dodo solemnly presented the thimble, saying.
В то время как Додо торжественно преподнес наперсток, произнося.
While the dodo solemnly presented the thimble, saying. We ask you to accept this elegant thimble.
Мы просим вас принять этот элегантный наперсток.
We ask you to accept this elegant thimble. And they all cheered.
И все они зааплодировали.
And they all cheered. Alice thought it very absurd.
Алиса считала это очень абсурдным.
Alice thought it very absurd. But they all looked so grave.
Но все они выглядели настолько серьезными.
But they all looked so grave, that she did not dare to laugh.
Что она не смела смеяться.
That she did not dare to laugh. And, as she could not think of anything to say.
И поскольку она не могла придумать, что сказать.
And, as she could not think of anything to say, she simply bowed and took the thimble.
Она просто поклонилась и взяла наперсток.
She simply bowed and took the thimble. Looking as solemn as she could.
Выглядя настолько торжественно, насколько могла.
Looking as solemn as she could. The next thing was to eat the sweets.
Следующее, что нужно было съесть сладости.
The next thing was to eat the sweets. This caused some noise and confusion.
Это вызвало немного шума и замешательства.
This caused some noise and confusion. The large birds could not taste their sweets, and the small ones choked.
Крупные птицы не могли попробовать свои сладости, а маленькие давились.
The large birds could not taste their sweets, and the small ones choked. But it was over at last.
Но, наконец, все было кончено.
But it was over at last. And they sat down again in a ring, and asked the mouse.
И они снова сели в кольцо и спросили мышь.
And they sat down again in a ring, and asked the mouse. Could you tell us something more, please?
Не могла бы ты рассказать нам что-нибудь еще, пожалуйста?
Could you tell us something more, please? You promised to tell me your history, you know, said Alice.
Ты обещала рассказать мне свою историю, помнишь, сказала Алиса.
You promised to tell me your history, you know, said Alice. And why it is you hate C and D, she added in a whisper.
И почему это ты ненавидишь, Кис, добавила она шепотом.
And why it is you hate C and D, she added in a whisper. She was anxious not to offend the mouse again.
Она пыталась не обидеть мышь снова.
She was anxious not to offend the mouse again. Mine is a long and a sad tale.
Моя длинная и грустная история.
Mine is a long and a sad tale, said the mouse, turning to Alice and sighing.
Сказала мышь, поворачиваясь к Алисе и вздыхая.
Said the mouse, turning to Alice and sighing. It is a long tail, certainly.
Конечно, это длинный хвост.
It is a long tail, certainly, said Alice in surprise, looking down at the mouse's tail.
Удивленно сказала Алиса, глядя вниз на хвост мыши.
Said Alice in surprise, looking down at the mouse's tail. But why do you call it sad?
Но почему ты называешь это грустным?
But why do you call it sad? And she kept on puzzling about it while the mouse was speaking.
И она продолжила ломать голову над этим, пока мышь говорила.
And she kept on puzzling about it while the mouse was speaking. So that her idea of the tale was something like this.
Так что ее представление о сказке было примерно таким.
So that her idea of the tale was something like this. Fury said to a mouse that he met in the house.
Фьюри сказал мышке, что он встретил в доме.
Fury said to a mouse that he met in the house. Let us both go to law.
Давайте вместе начнем судебный процесс.
Let us both go to law. I will prosecute you.
Я буду обвинять тебя в суде.
I will prosecute you. Come, I'll take no denial.
Приходи, я не приму никакого отказа.
Come, I'll take no denial. We will have a trial.
Мы будем судиться.
We will have a trial. For really this morning I've nothing to do.
Действительно, сегодня утром мне нечего делать.
For really this morning I've nothing to do. Said the mouse to the cur.
Сказала мышка.
Said the mouse to the cur. Such a trial, dear sir.
Такое испытание, дорогой сэр.
Such a trial, dear sir. With no jury or judge would be wasting our breath.
Без присяжных или судей будет пустая трата времени.
With no jury or judge would be wasting our breath. I'll be judge, I'll be jury.
Я буду судьей, я буду присяжным.
I'll be judge, I'll be jury. Said cunning old Fury.
Сказал хитрый старый Фьюри.
Said cunning old Fury. I'll try the whole case, and condemn you to death.
Я постараюсь в любом случае осудить тебя на смерть.
I'll try the whole case, and condemn you to death. You are not attending, said the mouse to Alice severely.
Ты не слушаешь, сказала мышь Алисе строго.
You are not attending, said the mouse to Alice severely. What are you thinking of?
О чем ты думаешь?
What are you thinking of? I beg your pardon, said Alice very humbly.
Прошу прощения, очень смиренно сказала Алиса.
I beg your pardon, said Alice very humbly. It is the fifth bend, I think.
Я думаю, это пятый поворот.
It is the fifth bend, I think. It is not, cried the mouse, sharply and very angrily.
Не то, воскликнула мышь, резко и сердито.
It is not, cried the mouse, sharply and very angrily. A knot, said Alice, always ready to help.
Узел, сказала Алиса, всегда готовая помочь.
A knot, said Alice, always ready to help. And looking anxiously about her.
И с тревогой оглядываясь на нее.
And looking anxiously about her. Oh, please, let me help to undo it.
А пожалуйста, позволь мне помочь развязать это.
Oh, please, let me help to undo it. I will do nothing of the sort.
Я не сделаю ничего подобного.
I will do nothing of the sort. Said the mouse, getting up and walking away.
Сказала мышь, вставая и уходя.
Said the mouse, getting up and walking away. You offend me by talking such nonsense.
Ты оскорбляешь меня, говоря такую чушь.
You offend me by talking such nonsense. I didn't mean it, pleaded poor Alice.
Я не это имела в виду, умоляла бедная Алиса.
I didn't mean it, pleaded poor Alice. But it is so easy to offend you, you know.
Но тебя так легко обидеть, ты же знаешь.
But it is so easy to offend you, you know. The mouse only growled in reply.
Мышь только зарычала в ответ.
The mouse only growled in reply. Please come back and finish your story, Alice called after it.
Пожалуйста, вернись и закончи свою историю. Позвала ее Алиса.
Please come back and finish your story, Alice called after it. And the others said, yes, please do.
И другие сказали, да, пожалуйста.
And the others said, yes, please do. But the mouse only shook its head impatiently, and walked a little quicker.
Но мышь только нетерпеливо покачала головой и пошла немного быстрее.
But the mouse only shook its head impatiently, and walked a little quicker. What a pity it didn't stay.
Как жаль, что она не осталась.
What a pity it didn't stay. sighed the lorry, as soon as it was quite out of sight.
Вздохнула Лори, как только она исчезла из виду.
Sighed the lorry, as soon as it was quite out of sight. And an old crab took the opportunity of saying to her daughter.
И старый краб воспользовался возможностью сказать своей дочери.
And an old crab took the opportunity of saying to her daughter. Ah, my dear.
Ах, моя дорогая.
Ah, my dear. Let this be a lesson to you never to lose your temper.
Пусть это будет уроком для тебя, чтобы никогда не выходить из себя.
Let this be a lesson to you never to lose your temper. Hold your tongue, Ma, said the young crab, a little sharply.
Держи язык за зубами, мам, сказала молодая дочь краба, немного резко.
Hold your tongue, Ma, said the young crab, a little sharply. You're enough to try the patience of an oyster.
Достаточно испытать терпение устрицы.
You're enough to try the patience of an oyster. What a pity our Dinah isn't here to bring it back.
Как жаль, что наша Дина не здесь, чтобы вернуть ее.
What a pity our Dinah isn't here to bring it back. Said Alice aloud, addressing nobody in particular.
Сказала Алиса вслух, не обращаясь ни к кому конкретно.
Said Alice aloud, addressing nobody in particular. And who is Dinah? Asked the lorry.
А кто такая Дина? Спросила Лори.
And who is Dinah? Asked the lorry. Alice answered eagerly.
Алиса ответила с нетерпением.
Alice answered eagerly. She was always ready to talk about her pet.
Она всегда была готова поговорить о своем питомце.
She was always ready to talk about her pet. Dinah's our cat.
Дина наша кошка.
Dinah's our cat. And she's so good at catching mice, you can't think.
И она так хороша в ловле мышей, трудно представить.
And she's so good at catching mice, you can't think. And oh, it is so great to see her hunting after the birds.
И как же здорово смотреть ее охоту за птицами.
And oh, it is so great to see her hunting after the birds. She can eat a little bird as soon as she looks at it.
Она может съесть маленькую птичку, мгновенно.
She can eat a little bird as soon as she looks at it. This speech really impressed the party.
Эта речь действительно впечатлила участников.
This speech really impressed the party. Some of the birds hurried off at once.
Некоторые птицы сразу же поспешили прочь.
Some of the birds hurried off at once. And a canary called out in a trembling voice to its children.
И канарейка дрожащим голосом крикнула своим детям.
And a canary called out in a trembling voice to its children. Come away, my dears.
Пойдемте, мои дорогие.
Come away, my dears. It's high time you were all in bed.
Вам давно пора спать.
It's high time you were all in bed. On various pretexts they all moved off.
Под разными предлогами они ушли.
On various pretexts they all moved off. And Alice found herself all alone.
И Алиса оказалась в полном одиночестве.
And Alice found herself all alone. Why did I mention Dinah? She said to herself sadly.
Почему я вспомнила Дину? Грустно сказала она.
Why did I mention Dinah? She said to herself sadly. Nobody seems to like her down here.
Кажется, здесь никому она не нравится.
Nobody seems to like her down here. And I'm sure she's the best cat in the world.
И я уверена, что она лучшая кошка в мире.
And I'm sure she's the best cat in the world. Oh, my dear Dinah.
О, моя дорогая Дина.
Oh, my dear Dinah. Will I ever see you again?
Увижу ли я тебя когда-нибудь снова?
Will I ever see you again? And here poor Alice began to cry again.
И тут бедная Алиса снова начала плакать.
And here poor Alice began to cry again. Because she felt very lonely and unhappy.
Потому что она чувствовала себя очень одинокой и несчастной.
Because she felt very lonely and unhappy. But soon she again heard a soft pattering of footsteps in the distance.
Но вскоре она снова услышала тихий стук шагов на расстоянии.
But soon she again heard a soft pattering of footsteps in the distance. And she looked up eagerly.
И она спешно подняла взгляд.
And she looked up eagerly. Half hoping that the mouse was coming back to finish his story.
немного надеясь, что мышь вернется, чтобы закончить свою историю.
Half hoping that the mouse was coming back to finish his story.